is the I told you so moment for the XRP community. Listen to this video.
Rather than just once a day. And then, as you said, in early 2018, the industry launched the new payments platform. And that's that infrastructure allows basically instant payments. So I could, using my bank app, even if you're with a different bank, I could pay you, I could send some money to you, and you would have it probably in about 3 seconds.
It doesn't matter if, BTC maxis or any other maxis agree with us or not, but the frictionless 3-second payment cannot be done with any digital asset. Now that is becoming the norm. It will be like Ripple or partner of Ripple or partner of Ripple. This is kind of a new network and it's getting really interesting.
Real-time payments, blockchain, ISO 20022. And with the Internet of Things, any connected device can be a payment channel. To compete and manage the pace of change, you need to run a much more agile business.
So the change in payments world is accepted. Payments, that's real-time payments, and ISO 20022. It's being implemented as we speak. So don't wait too much. Don't think too much. Just process what you have now. Because it's not only the remittance and the normal payments, it's also gonna be the securities payment. We discussed in detail in before, say a couple of videos before we actually discussed this in detail, but securities trading will be bringing mountains of payment. Now she mentions it in quadrillions. Listen to that.
Because we're all CFOs and we love numbers, last year DTCC processed $1.6 quadrillion worth of transactions, and
so that's like holy moly. Quadrillions are coming from one side and the same is coming from the other side. What should be the market cap to handle these? If you are receiving value out of the content, do hit the like button, subscribe button and the bell notification icon to get updated about the future videos. Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Now, this video visual is not that clear, but the audio is. Listen to this one. Like, the audio should be received well and processed carefully, because it's happening while we are discussing here, and you can actually clearly get the idea from that.
To redirect it toward martial law endeavor, and not just in America, but globally. They want to lock down every country and force us into global governance, eventually force us into a global reserve currency that is like the Bancorp that the IMF has been pushing.
And those people who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy theories.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah, well, when Geithner said he would be open to the idea of a global currency last week, those conspiracy people had suggested that for years. You're not wrong.
And when massive foreign trade deals are made, they are done in U.S. dollars, which serves as the world's reserve currency. Now the UN is backing a plan to change all of that and create a new global currency.
There is a global meltdown coming. It is a global depression, and one world currency and one world financial system is the end game. China said last week they want one global currency. France said yesterday or the day before that they want one world order, a new world order at the end of this.
Surprise, surprise, right? At least not for the XRP community members. Now, look, all those institutions which we actually mentioned, say for example, IMF were actually projecting something. We know that what it is. United Nations were projecting something, and now we got the idea of what it is. Now, China, France, and all different countries are actually pointing their finger towards a reserve asset, a new world currency. Now, if you actually look we actually discussed about this previously based on the statements from Jim Rickards. If you remember that, in that video we actually talked about kind of things which feel like conspiracy, but it is not. This is an old article, say October 30th, 2019, and Ripple invests in biometric security startup. Now, if we actually look at this and check what just happened recently, we also came to know that a Europe-based institution is actually working on a biochip which can be connected to RippleNet. We discussed through that, right? So if we are looking this and processing this correctly, we are going to a direction which we just saw in this video. But for those who are holding XRP, that's not a bad deal. Now, yes, considering the total amount of XRP holders, we are not even 1% of the total population in the world. So if this is happening, which is really happening, the new 1% is being laid out. Now, chances are still there when the price is so low to get in and accumulate more. Personally, before publishing this video, I'll be buying another bag because all these information are pointing towards the future and I don't want to miss out. Now, in this first one, when I actually played only the initial part, but when we actually go through the entire video and digest it properly, we actually get much more. Say, for example, the question which is being asked there is about the clearance time and what was happening, and then the reply comes in like during 2013 we had something like this, but in 2018 we implemented this, and now this is changing like this. So let's listen to that.
An efficiency of a transaction, how they trended over time. There was a new payment platform put in place, I think, a year ago.
Yes.
And is there anything coming up in that regard to I guess, reduce the friction?
Yeah. Clearance times have improved. The payments industry did something called same-day settlement in 2013, which meant that there were clearing exchanges of payment instructions between banks several times a day rather than just once a day. And then, as you said, in early 2018, the industry launched the new payments platform. And that's that infrastructure allows basically instant payments. So I could, using my bank app, even if you're with a different bank, I could pay you, I could send some money to you, and you would have it probably in about 3 seconds. And that's being gradually rolled out to customers. Most banks have started rolling it out to their household customers, but it's increasingly being rolled out to business accounts too. And so that has very significantly improved the quality of banking services to and electronic payments to both households, businesses, and governments. The government is actually using it to make emergency payments, and it can make payments at night, on weekends, and the recipient gets the money straight away within about 3 seconds.
So when we actually just segregate the entire video, say we have something which was rolling out in 2018 and it's currently being given to households, business and governments. Now, at the end, they also stated that the governments are actually using this infrastructure for emergency funds. So what's happening around the world now? Are we going through an emergency or not? So the funds which are being transferred is now in this manner. So one thing is for sure, when the president is talking about a 40-year-old system, we need to change it, we need a new infrastructure, we have it, and if the state governments are allowing me, I'll do that. Now we know what he's actually talking about, and it is kind of clear, right? So in that aspect, don't move. If you want to listen to that part again, just rewind and play that area again, because you'll get much more from that. Now, moving ahead, in this particular video, when we were actually discussing just about the total amount processed by that, but it's not only just that. If you actually look at that, you will get the sources of different payments, different transactions for those securities trading.
So by way of background, DTCC has served as the primary market infrastructure for the securities industry for the past 45 years. And what we do there is we clear and settle all security transactions in the US, and we provide post-trade processing.
So in that particular area, they just told that they have 45-year experience in this particular area. Which area? Clearing the settlements of trading. Securities trading. Now they provide all different kind of services related to the post-trade processing and all, but what we want to look here is the settlement area, because if they're just using the payment, then we can even, the BTC maxis can argue that no, they are not using the on-demand liquidity or the digital asset XRP. They're just using the messaging network. But when we are listening to the settlement from this video here and the next one here, it's clear that they are using the digital asset. Okay, let's continue.
Around the globe, and just to put that in perspective, because we're all CFOs and we love numbers. Last year, DTCC processed $1.6 quadrillion worth of transactions, and we custody and asset service securities issued by over 130 countries worth $57 trillion. We actually have made...
So really keep that in mind, right? They also do the custody service and asset service securities issued in 130 countries, which is worth $7 trillion. Wow. So which is just the custody area, right? And the processing and payments is 1.6 quadrillion for securities. Wow. So one thing is for sure, payments is way higher than that of the asset custody service or any other different markets. Because say the entire economy of a country will be say 5 trillion, 10 trillion, take US, it will be around 20, 22 trillion, China 14, 15, 17 trillion. But the payments, which say for example you're buying something, you're paying it to the merchant, now the merchant will go somewhere else, he'll buy something else, so the payment is kind of rolling. Even if you have that $100 bill, it's being circulated, right? So in the same way, payments are kind of in a network which just circulates, and that makes this the most important use case a digital asset can serve. And guess what? It's XRP and we are in it. So when the doubters are coming to you and creating or at least trying to push that narrative there, give all this information to them and try to get a new guy into the XRP community, because if you can, that's not a bad deal, right? Now, this is another article showing Ripple's XRP will improve transparency for payment processes, says US agency. Now, when you actually go through the entire article, there's a lot of information, but at the bottom, you can actually see where it actually comes from. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau believes that Ripple's product could allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount of the recipients. Now, we can actually see that the credit unions and banks, so the value is being stored with these guys, which is actually in trillions. Now, the movement of value between these guys, we just saw that it's in quadrillions. So the securities trading side is showing 1.6 quadrillion, and if you're looking at just the payment side, that's again 1.25 quadrillion. Oh god, this is the game of quadrillions now. Previously we were looking at millions, billions, then it turned to trillions. Now it's moving into quadrillions. So as we move on and get more information, we'll understand what this asset has been designed to. When we actually see the scalability of this asset, we were surprised. Why do we actually need this much? And at the same time, there was a lot of guys asking why you actually need 100 billion for this particular token. Now we know that even 100 billion is not gonna end well in this aspect, and that's why the burn rate of XRP is so low. And even the scientific investor family members been asking me, with this small amount of burn rate, how can the price increase? But I always used to state that XRP is designed as an appreciating asset, meaning the burn rate itself can rise the price. Now this is how it is, because the payments is not one payment or 10 payment. At least it will be in millions of payments per day, not only for remittance or just the ordinary payments, but also the settlement of security trading activity, because that's huge. Now, when you say security trading, you have another side, forex trading, which also have 5 trillion a day. So if you actually look at that, currently all of these are being moved, meaning payment messages are being moved in Swift system. So even if they are using that and they need a settlement asset, they can actually incorporate that using the new Hyperledger corridors or RC Coda settler. You can actually use that. So that's actually coming in. Now, as we move forward, we are getting all type of information which is kind of similar. That's the same information. Now I was actually coming into this one. In this one, the what we just saw in all of these are kind of same and it's staying the same. But what actually surprised me was an area which is actually representing this, because I just talked about this some days before, and we were actually like, some of them I got comments like, this is conspiracy. Now, I was personally not trying to make conspiracies. Instead, I was thinking what's actually happening in the reality. So looking at the IMF, Google, Fed, UN, Bank of International Settlement, all those international organizations are kind of supporting XRP. I mean, Ripple. They are stating the name Ripple. XRP means Ripple, right? So in that aspect, when we actually look at this, it all started with OpenCoin, and that was in 2004. Wow. So it was even before Bitcoin. Wow. Now, if you actually look at this, they're actually trying to show that the PayPal was started like this, then Elon Musk, Peter and all actually went out. They started different projects like SpaceX, Tesla, YouTube and much more. And if we look at this OpenCoin, from there we get like Stellar, Tron and Ripple itself. So this is kind of a new network which is being built on to connect different ledgers, and at the core it will be the XRP ledger, meaning the ILP. When we talk about a RippleNet, we agree that it is there, but ILP is something only using XRP. Yes, you can say you can use Bitcoin, you can say you can use Ethereum, but even though you are using Bitcoin, it should be going through ILP, and the native asset of ILP is XRP. So even if you are putting your dollar to Bitcoin and then the Bitcoin to XRP, then XRP to Bitcoin and again Bitcoin to dollar, you're doing like doubling the job. Why you want to do a 3-second transaction into 10-minute transaction or 45-minute transaction when the Bitcoin network is congested? So no one is going to do that. So when they're connecting it to the ILP, it's going to be XRP. As we are moving forward, we actually get the same information around the world. The world is kind of moving into the new infrastructure, because in order to implement all of these, they actually should be in a new infrastructure. And they're actually doing that. Now, at the same time, if we are looking at the price fluctuations in the shorter time frame, say this is a 4-hour chart of XRP, we can actually see that we just bounced off this particular resistance. That's horizontal resistance around 0.198, which also supports the trendline support there. Now, the upper target here will be around 0.212 and then around 0.225 and above till 0.23. But these are all short-term targets, right? When we are actually discussing about these stuff, we should not be actually looking at the shorter time frame fluctuations. But what can we do? Majority actually like to see that and really want to know what is happening just in the price, not in the fundamentals. But I would actually suggest, guys, look at the fundamentals first and then this short-term fluctuation. That will be better for you guys and us in long term. If you are receiving value out of the content, do hit the like button, subscribe button and the bell notification icon to get updated about the future videos.